Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the regular meeting for the Cumberland Fire District to order this January 23rd, 2018. First, we will begin with a roll call. I was waiting for him to walk in. Commissioner Ashenball?
Here.
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Santoro?
Here.
Commissioner Hogan?
Here.
Commissioner Champagne is absent. Commissioner Scullin?
Here.
Commissioner Willett is here. Thank you. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And in our moment of silence, if we could think about the brave men who are here tonight and how thankful that they are working for Cumberland Fire, and how fortunate the people who are taken care of by this fire district and have been saved and rescued and taken care of. Thank you. Please be seated. Chief Finley.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. It is again another great night for Cumberland Fire, Cumberland Rescue, and this time Cumberland Police, although they weren't able to join us. They were an integral part of both of these incidents this evening. The first incident that I am going to report on occurred on the early evening of October 30th, 2017. Engine 4 and Cumberland Rescue 1, along with Cumberland Police Officer Greg Pomfret, were dispatched to 7 Avon Street for a possible seizure at 19:08 hours. Engine 4 and Officer Pomfret arrived simultaneously on scene, with Officer Pomfret entering the residence first while Engine 4 gathered their equipment. A 52-year-old male was found in a supine condition in a second-floor bedroom. After a quick assessment, Officer Pomfret initiated CPR. Engine 4 was entering the bedroom, advised Rescue 1 of the code situation, and also requested a second engine for additional manpower. Protocols by the unconscious Department of Health protocols were followed. An airway was inserted, followed by resuscitation efforts with oxygen administration. Patient was placed on a monitor, and 1 shock was administered prior to the arrival of the rescue. Patient care was assumed by Cumberland Rescue 1 and continued with advanced treatment. CPR continued throughout packaging and transport until the patient became stable and was alert at his arrival at Landmark Medical Center. Through the combined efforts of Cumberland Police Officer Greg Pomfret, Lieutenant Mark Paquin, Lieutenant Stan Howarth, firefighters Jason LaValle, Frank Zabata, Ed Beauregard, and John Ray IV, Cumberland Rescue Lieutenant Pete McIntyre, and paramedic John Bianco, the resuscitation was a success, and the man has visited the station on a couple of occasions, and his wife and himself are very happy of his resuscitation, and they sent a wonderful thank you note to us. So this evening, these gentlemen are in line for a life-saving award. If I could call on Madam Chair to present the award. For Lieutenant Howarth. Lieutenant Howarth isn't able to be with us this evening. Lieutenant Paquin. Firefighter LaValle. Firefighter Zabata gets one with the crest. He was involved in both incidents. And Firefighter Ray, who just joined our ranks and is already proving his worth.
See you again. On such a great occasion, congratulations.
The other employees will get their service bars delivered to them as soon as we can make arrangements. The second incident that we're here this evening for occurred on November 13th, 2017. On the evening of November 13th, 2017, at approximately 1844 hours, an emergency medical call was received at the Cumberland Dispatch Center by dispatcher Shane Gingras for a male who had fallen in the parking lot of 30 Meeting Street. The initial call for help was cut off before all the information could be received. Dispatcher Gingras made the correct judgment call and sent out an alarm to Engine 1 and Rescue 1, along with dispatching the nearest Cumberland Police Officer unit for an unknown medical. After a second call was reestablished, it was communicated to the dispatcher that the fallen male had chest pains. No other information was relayed at that time. The first arriving Cumberland unit, the first arriving unit was Cumberland Patrolman Andrew Dutra in the 411 car. Upon his arrival, it was quickly determined by Officer Dutra that the fallen male had no pulse and was not breathing. Officer Dutra alerted Cumberland Dispatch of the situation, and CPR began on the male patient outdoors in the dark in the rain. Engine 1 arrived shortly after, along with Cumberland Rescue 1, and began advanced life support measures, taking over for Officer Dutra. Ladder 1 was dispatched and arrived shortly thereafter. All crew members performed their duties in the dark, on the asphalt, in the parking lot, all while it was raining, with a large crowd gathering, along with the fallen male's daughter. All was standing close by during the event, which led to additional stress of the situation. The male had regained pulses and shallow breathing a number of times during the 30 minutes on scene, but would return to a lifeless state. At this point, Deputy Chief McCabe arrived on scene and assisted crew members in transferring the male into the rescue for transport and gathering equipment while consoling the daughter. The daughter of the patient was brought to the rescue to be with her father, and both were transported to Miriam Emergency Department. Upon arrival at the hospital emergency department, the patient regained consciousness and was breathing on his own. After a stay at Miriam Med Surgery Department and following a brief surgical procedure, the male was able to return home. His prognosis is both positive and in for a full recovery. Based on the actions of all members of the police, EMS, fire, and especially the dispatcher, for his quick thinking, I feel compelled to make the recommendations the following persons be recognized for going above and beyond their duties in a stressful situation under adverse weather conditions to successfully restore the life to a male resident that evening. Dispatcher Gingras could not be with us this evening. Dispatch Officer Dutra is on duty and is currently tied up. He is here. Oh, he is not tied up. Officer Dutra, if you could join us in the front. And with Officer Dutra is Paramedic Bianco. Very good. So, Madam Chair. The first is Paramedic Bianco. Again, he gets a bar with a cluster. He was involved in both incidents. Officer Dutra. Lieutenant Di Rosario. Yes, Lieutenant Di Rosario and Lieutenant Smith both have the award with the cluster. Firefighter Gingras. Firefighter K. Firefighter Randall. And, yeah.
Yeah.
And Deputy McCabe, a bar with cluster. I personally want to thank these members for their teamwork, their conscientiousness, and their never give up spirit to keep our residents safe. And it's truly an honor to work with them and be part of the same department that they are with. Thank you. The honorees are dismissed.
And we can take a 5-minute recess for families to join their loved ones. No, I don't need to. Commissioner Jones, you know what? Your idea was brilliant. I really appreciate this. Having these award ceremonies here instead of at Town Hall, I think the firefighters are happy about it because they don't have to linger out in the hallway and get squished. There's a lot more room. So thank you very much for making that suggestion. And I know it's out of character to have our meeting here, but it was a really good idea. So I appreciate it. Moving on. Commissioner. General announcements.
Thank you, sir. The Personnel Subcommittee met prior to this meeting tonight and had a lengthy discussion with the assistance of the solicitor. I'm very grateful for her input to discuss the resolution regarding employee benefits to come from bylaws into a resolution. And next month, we're going to get on the agenda to have this resolved. As it has been, it will continue if this board feels and approves the vote, which I anticipate. The subcommittee vote was a 3-0 vote in favor, and I'm hoping that that will happen at this level as well. Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you. I'm glad you met. That's wonderful news. Any other general announcements?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Scullin.
I have 2 announcements. The first announcement I have is I serve on the Cumberland Charter Review Commission, and we've been meeting for about the last 8 months, reviewing the charter and potential changes or adjustments thereof. And we're at the point now where we're going to be discussing new items for the charter. And I will be proposing a town fire department be placed in the town charter. And our next meeting will be held on February 12th, which is a Monday night, and in the Hayden Center, part of the library complex. So if anyone would like to attend to give their input into that part of the charter, everyone's welcome. It's open to the public. And we'll see where that goes. But I think it's time for that. I've been an advocate of that for a while, and I continue to be. But we'll give the voters another shot to vote on it, if that's what it takes.
So the charter, so what you're saying, because I don't know, I didn't quite hear the whole thing. The charter is going to be discussing moving the fire department into the town side of
It will be a
business?
basic amendment just to add a fire department to the town charter, a town-operated fire department.
Okay.
And how that formulates will be further discussion that would be done by legislation.
Okay. February 12th.
12th.
At 7?
At 7, in the Hayden Center.
Okay, and you have 2 announcements.
Yes, my second announcement, unfortunately, I must make, is to apprise the board that last night I received a very disturbing phone call from the chairperson, Olette, and I really think she crossed the line of ethics and possibly other issues. So I will be filing a complaint with the Rhode Island Ethics Commission for an investigation, and I'll just leave it at that until I have further information. Thank you.
Jim, do you think that the board would like to hear why I called you? Do I have your permission to discuss that right now?
I'm not giving you permission for anything.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Any other general announcements? I also want to remind people that Saturday morning at 9 o'clock here in the library, we are having a roundtable discussion. Hayden Center. It's at the library, isn't it?
The other side. But it's on the other side.
Okay, thank you. Still a stranger to Cumberland ways. At the Hayden Center at 9 o'clock to have a roundtable discussion to allow for a conversation to begin occurring pertaining to the idea of building a new station at Station 2. And the public is invited, and the more people here, the better, because the conversation will be lively. It's more of an investigation, and it's not a decision-making. We are not walking into this meeting saying we're going to build a new station. We're going to be talking about the needs of the community, the needs of the building, bonding issues, everything under the sun as it pertains to the building of a new fire department. I'm sorry, a new fire station. So I hope everyone can come. Any other general announcements? Okay, moving on. Consent agenda approval of minutes from 12/18/17. Do I hear a motion on the table? Motion to approve by Commissioner Santoro, correct?
Yes.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Archambault. Any discussion? Hearing none, we go to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from 12/18, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam Chair, I wasn't in attendance at the December meeting, so I'm going to abstain from making any motion.
Are you only doing one at a time?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
This was for 12/18. Okay. Nope, so all in favor said aye for 12/18. The motion passes 6-0. 5-0. Oh, I thought you abstained it from the January meeting, sorry.
No, December.
All right, approval of minutes from January 2nd. Is there a motion on the table?
Motion? to
Motion
approve.
by Commissioner Hogan. Seconded by Commissioner Santoro. Is there a discussion? Hearing none discussion, let's go to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from January 2nd, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. Submission of the audit report. Diane, do you want to talk about that?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Santoro.
I apologize if I just go out of order for a second. The solicitor was going to look into, we had purchased something for the equipment that was $200 more expensive a while ago, and you're going to look into that legality of spending more money than the lowest bid. What was the outcome of that?
I'm not,
I'll email you about it, it's
Yeah.
okay. Sorry.
sorry.
Thank you.
I did look into that, and I sent an email. I can send you a copy of that again.
That'd be great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, financial statements. You're welcome, Commissioner Santoro.
The December financial statements are not complete. The office has been very, very busy, and we are very behind due to the adjustment of the tax sale fees and the tax sale debacle that has happened. So the December report is not finished. As soon as I do finish it, I will send it out to you, and we can put it on next month's agenda. The audit report was sent out to everybody a few weeks ago. I have not received any questions, so therefore I am not prepared to answer any questions tonight, but if you do have any, I will take them, and I will get back to you with an answer.
Does anyone have any questions that Ms. Carol Ocean can respond to at a later date on the financial statement, on the audit report?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Scullin.
And just a quick question on page 38, just the OPEB benefits.
Those are completely prepared by the auditors, so what would be your question? And I can send it to you.
That was my question. Who prepared those numbers? That was,
Oh, the auditors do prepare that.
the auditors prepared those
They
numbers?
do. They use calculations that they receive from the state. They use state percentages, state data.
That's all I need.
No, talking our OPEB on our health insurance for retirees.
I'm sorry?
Health insurance for retirees, that page.
That would not be included there.
No, that's the whole thing.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Page 38 is the...
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. The auditors prepare that.
They prepared that one, okay.
Yes.
And I have one other question was, a deficit, was it 409,000? Is that the accurate, what they put here?
It is, after depreciation,
After.
yes.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Any other questions that Diane can report back on? Okay. Do you have to accept that? No. Moving on, old business. Excuse me, we don't have any old business. No. Okay, new business. Chief, your report.
I've prepared a yearly report on service, the types of incidents. It's pretty self-explanatory to me. If there's any questions, I'll certainly try to elaborate on it. I know there were some questions during the year on the mutual aid. We did a specific graph on the mutual aid. It pretty much balances out, as you can see. Received was 77, given was 75. The total number of service calls for the calendar year of 17 was 4,544. And when you go a few pages later, the total I should have flagged my page. It's over 6,000 total responses combined of, well, even though there was 4,000 incidents, 6,169 total apparatus responses. So on the first alarms where all 3 engines in the aerial go, that totaled up to that many responses. And that's significant when you think of the amount of time that they're on the road. And I don't want to jinx myself and say what I'm thinking, but we've had a pretty good track record as far as motor vehicle accidents this year. We've had a very poor track record as far as IODs, with 20% of the workforce being out, either short-term or long-term, which is, you know, the reason the overtime budget is through the roof, as indicated by, you know, Commissioner Scullin last month. It's one of the things that I can't predict ahead of time. I didn't think it was going to be that high until we started doing the accumulation for the monthly report. But we had some guys out 4 to 6 weeks, and other guys have been out 52 weeks, so. Any questions?
Chief, I think it's important to recognize the fact that with the 20% injured, that there is no real pattern, which makes it more difficult to try and find a cure for, so to speak.
If I had one station that had a serious contributor to the pattern, we would be able to address it, but we don't. It's all over. It's all over. It's all different incidents.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Santoro.
On a positive part, we had some very good interaction with the public this year. The Toucher Truck was one of the largest attended events that the fire local has put together. They ran out of food early, and there were a lot of children of all ages on all the different vehicles that were there. The lighting of the green, which has been a tradition at Station 5 for a number of years. The captain at Station 5 asked this year if we could get 6 trees and have each of the grades create their own ornament and decorate the trees prior to the lighting of the green. And the principal relished the idea and assigned each grade a specific theme that they had to make their ornaments for, be it military, educators, nurses, fire, police, rescue personnel. And that was very, very well received. And the people, the commissioners that attended, seen how many more people we had at the lighting of the green this year than in previous years. So that turned out to be a really great event. And we have a continued presence at Diamond Hill Park for the multitude of events going on. Although we don't really sanction them, we do stop by Haunted Hill and the Christmas time event just to be in play and to be seen and answer some questions to occupy the children's time while they're waiting to get on the rides. Not so much Haunted Hill, but the Christmas time event.
Which is very fun.
Chief, if I may, has there been a change in the way, the timing and the amount of the reimbursement from VFIS in regards to the injured on duty or the overtime, the injuries in general?
No.
From a month ago to, from a year ago to this year?
From a year, yeah. In an effort to save on premiums, we went to a 30-day. The first 30 days we don't get any reimbursement for. And it was a financial decision that was made by past history that we didn't have that many people that just went out for 30 days. Past history was usually 3 to 6 months. So we foregoed the 30-day payment where our prior policy had us getting paid after 7 days, and the amount of the premium was significantly higher than going to the 30 days. So we made the educated decision to forego the higher premium and just go to the 30-day payment. So if someone is out 12 months, we're only getting 11 months reimbursement. And that's at the flat rate of pay, not at the time and a half pay for the replacement.
Was it previously a time and a half?
No, it was never a time and a half. It was always at base pay.
Okay. Do you think it's balanced out in general with the lower premium, with the reimbursement?
Not with 20% of the force out, no.
Okay. And when is that up for renewal?
July.
Are we going to go back to the old?
I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. It's on my February list to contact
All right.
the agent to see what is going on. I do know there's some new insurance rules and regulations for fire departments that have been put in place since our last policy, but they weren't completely finalized for distribution to the policyholders yet. That will be forthcoming very shortly, according to our agent.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions? One thing that you might want to consider adding to the yearly report is the awards that were given this year to the fire department, to firefighters. That might be a nice thing to be in that report. We've had a few, which is amazing.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? Are you all set, Chief?
Yep.
Thank you very much. I like the way you broke down the station reports. That is really interesting, and that's something new, so I like that. Okay. Let's move on to resolutions. And this is second resolution in 2018, authorizing the finance director to pay Minuteman Trucks an amount not to exceed $4,822.51. Minuteman Truck had to make repairs to engine 3, and they have all been made with the approval of the chief. So we need to resolve the finance director is authorized to pay Minuteman Trucks an amount not to exceed $4,822.51. Motion by Commissioner Santoro,
Second.
second by Commissioner Jones. Is there a discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote.
Engine 3?
Yeah, one of the reserve engines.
Okay. Just caught that.
They couldn't get out of the cab. The entire mechanism rotted out. They climbed out like a race car. Wasn't funny then.
Nope. Sorry. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, let's go to vote. All in favor of authorizing the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. Next resolution. Let me get to the page. And this is Resolution 1A, which was tabled last month. And this is amending the bylaws to add a section relating to tax sale policy. Whereas the Cumberland Fire Committee recognizes that the district must collect all taxes due by the end of the current fiscal year in order to end the fiscal year within the terms of the budget, and that a tax sale is necessary to ensure the collection of all taxes due. The Cumberland Fire Committee desires to provide a minimum financial impact to taxpayers who do not pay taxes when due, while still ensuring the fiscal integrity of the district. The Cumberland Fire Committee intends to provide an objective process in order to ensure the collection of all taxes in a fair and equitable manner. Be it resolved by the Cumberland Fire District as follows. The Cumberland Fire District bylaws are hereby amended as follows. Add a new Section 8 under Article 4 entitled Finance. Section 8, Tax Sales. In order to collect all fire district taxes within the current fiscal year, the Finance Director is hereby authorized to conduct a tax sale no earlier than May 15th of each current fiscal year. On the first business day of October, the Finance Director shall mail by regular mail a notice to any taxpayer who has not paid the first quarter installment of taxes due. The notice shall include the following language. Important, you may be subject to a tax sale of your property. Your first quarter taxes are past due, therefore your entire tax obligation for fiscal year, whatever fiscal year it is now due. If you fail to pay your taxes before November 15th of that year, your account will be referred to our tax sale attorney and you will be assessed a minimum fee of $100 at that time. Additional fees will be assessed to your account as the tax sale processes advance. This is your final notice before additional fees will apply to your account. The tax sale process shall proceed in accordance with Rhode Island General Law 45-9-1 et seq. The Finance Director may proceed with additional tax sales for preceding fiscal year taxes as is necessary. A notice substantially the same as the notice above shall be mailed by regular mail, allowing a minimum of 1 month's notice to pay before additional attorney's fees are applied to an account before any subsequent tax sale process begins. The Finance Director shall be authorized to waive tax sale fees only when an error on the part of the Town of Cumberland or the Cumberland Fire District is identified. The Cumberland Fire Committee may enter into contracts with tax sale attorneys for a maximum term of 3 years. Is there a motion on the table?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Scullin.
at the appropriate time, I have amendments.
Is there a motion on the table?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archibald. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion purposes.
Seconded by Commissioner Hogan. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have 3 amendments I would like to make to this resolution.
Okay?
The first is looking for, I'm not sure the appropriate place to put this, but somewhere within this language, I would like to add a $200 prior year balance would be required before tax sale proceedings would begin. Somewhere under Section 8, I believe, would probably be appropriate.
Okay, there's a motion on the table, first of all, so before you make another motion, we have to decide on this motion, but there's a discussion going on, so. Because I think you said,
Prior year, that it has to be a prior year balance before it goes to tax sale, not just based on current year taxes.
So you want to...
Paul, your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting the red means on. So in essence, you want to say that if somebody owes, instead of just missing one of the quarter payments and the waiting period, you want to add if they've been in arrears more than $200 for the prior year.
Prior year, correct.
As well, on top of this.
On top of 1 quarter.
On top of the 1 quarter. Yeah, it's interesting. Is that how the Valley Falls District did it for years?
Well, we require a full calendar year.
I'm sorry, what?
We required a full bill of the year before, whatever the total was. We didn't have a dollar figure, but
Okay.
the town has a set figure that they use before a tax sale. On real estate, it's $750. On sewers, it's $250. And just about everybody has a prior year balance. I haven't talked to anybody that's ever heard of going without a prior year balance.
so if we allowed 600 people to wait a full year, that would be a significant deficit into our budget. This is the reason why we are, this is the reason why we are having these tax sales. Because our budget, we have no money. We are a burgeoning fire department. We have not had an accumulated amount of money to hold that we could provide that time for taxpayers. So this is an issue that we have.
So the tax sale isn't going to happen until May 15th, which is the end of the year, according to this.
Right.
So what do you want to give them, you want them to not pay the taxes for a whole year before we do anything?
No, but by November 15th, if they haven't paid, if they got a prior year, they have to pay that prior year by November 15th when the process starts, according to this.
So what are we supposed to do for money for this year?
Money for what year?
If they don't pay their taxes, we got no money coming in. How are we supposed to run the department?
No, there's always, it doesn't get that drastic. But nobody else operates on current year taxes. I don't know what, I've heard the argument why we're doing it, but I think to put somebody with a tax sale for $80 is a little heavy-handed.
$8.
$80.
Commissioner Scullin, I did a poll and put it out to the Rhode Island tax collectors, and several of them did it after the first quarter, after the second quarter. There were very few that responded that they let people wait a whole year. The ones that may do that are the municipalities that have millions of dollars in surplus funds. But the fire districts were 1 quarter, 2 quarters, and a lot of the fire districts don't do quarterly payments. They do annual payments. So they give them 60 days, and then they start the tax sale.
Diane, can you comment on a house that's of value of a tax bill of $200? That would be worth, what, $500,000, $400,000, so, are those typically the people that pay their tax bills on time? The demographic group that pays the bills, or is it?
No, I
It's
can't.
spread right across everyone?
I would say it's right across.
It's everyone? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out,
There's-
I
there's-
don't want to target one group
No,
discriminatorily, you know?
no,
I mean, I see
it's
the-
really not.
I see
Demographics.
the intent, and I understand the unfortunate situation that someone doesn't make the payment and they're waiting. Then now we're talking about 15 months plus 5 more days to move into tax sale, like Mr. Archibald mentioned. At what point does it become, known to pay the tax bill? What percent of the people in town that do not pay the tax bill, what percent pays it all at once, that first, right away in July?
This year was over 50, probably about 55% paid the bill in full. Then we had 1,600 notices that went out to people who had not paid anything on their first quarter. That did not include people that made a small payment on their first quarter. It only included people who had made no payments on the first quarter, so that was 1,600.
Yeah.
That notice generated 1,000 payments, basically 1,000 of those bills got paid.
I just ordered something. Can you just give an estimate of the money it's cost you to convert from yearly to quarterly? And work out man hours you've put in versus money we've lost sending off these lawyer fees and envelopes and stamps and all of this. For convenience, the convenience has become an inconvenience. How many people are actually using the current tax quarterly payment system appropriately?
Maybe 30% are actually making, right, and a lot of those, hundreds of those payments come from the mortgage companies, not from the taxpayers
And
themselves.
because they want to amortize their funds to get the
Right.
interest. So
Right.
it's not, myself who owns a house in Scarborough Road, I just paid it once. It's a one-time thing. I mean, is it better financially just to go back to a yearly payment?
I don't think we can. We were told by a representative that if we did not go to quarterly payments, she would insist on and push through some
Legislation.
legislation that would force us to go to quarterly payments, and that's why we did it. It's been costly, but the taxpayers asked for it, and that's why we did it.
I
Give
understand,
people a
the-
chance to pay their bills quarterly instead of all at once.
and I understand that, she may want to propose legislation, and we can certainly go down there with the financial information to support the fact that we're losing money as a struggling fire department, that the quarterly system is just not working for this size of a department. She
I mean, I
can't
think
force
it's working.
us.
I don't think that the percentage of people not paying their bills is going to change. That's my opinion.
Okay, so from the year payments is still about the same percent as the quarterly payment of non-payment.
I mean, at the end of the year, we have a 98.5 maybe collection rate, but that is only because of the tax sale process. If we didn't have the tax sale process, it would probably be under 90. So that would mean 10% of our budget would be uncollected.
That's $780,000. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Scullin, where did this number of $200 come from?
It's probably half the average tax bill,
Okay.
give or take.
Would it make sense to say instead, if they were 1 quarter or 2 quarters in arrears versus a number?
That's
That's what
that's what this says.
No, I'm saying for his amendment.
But it already says that.
No, it wouldn't make any difference.
Commissioner
I'm saying
Scullin,
the
I'm sorry.
amendment for the year before. You know what I'm saying? You don't think so, Jim?
No,
No?
that wouldn't matter.
Okay, thank you.
If a person's got we're saying, let's just say a $300 tax bill for the year, it comes down to $75 a quarter. $6.25 a week. I mean, how much easier can you make it for anybody?
I'm just saying that we've always used prior year, and now we're not, and I just think there should be a prior year.
If I could remind you of the conversation we had last night, that you're going to call the Ethics Committee on me, Commissioner Scullin, when you are identifying in this agenda? I mean, on this amendment? Just want to remind you.
Madam Chair, if we use the $200 as proposed with the 600 delinquent accounts, that translates to $120,000. A penny brings in $30,000. That would be an additional 4 cents on the tax rate for everybody that pays current.
You are correct in that, Chief. We also have to remember that the people who are paying the taxes are paying the taxes for people who aren't paying the taxes, and that's not fair. If people aren't paying their taxes, it's the people who are paying their taxes that end up having to provide for those who aren't paying their taxes. And if we went to a yearly, it's just not going to work for this district right now. Maybe in 10 years it could, but not right now. I'd like to have a vote. Commissioner Scullin, I would really appreciate it if you would avoid voting on this. Paul, put on your microphone.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
I asked Commissioner Scullin not to vote on this amendment.
Can we?
I mean, not amendment.
Can we have a 5-minute adjournment
We don't need one.
No, I'd like to have a 5-minute adjournment to discuss this with the solicitor in executive session immediately. And this is a,
You going to make a motion, Paul?
I am making the motion to
I'll
go into
second that motion.
executive session immediately. This is an extremely abnormal request you just made that needs to be addressed immediately.
Commissioner Scullin, would you like to explain, or shall I?
This is, I made a motion, it's on the chart, it's on the floor, this has to stop, this has to be discussed. That comment you just made,
Commissioner
the comment you just made is so out of line that this needs to be discussed in private with our solicitor to know how to go from this minute forward, or this meeting stops right now.
Excuse me?
You cannot ask a sitting member of a board not to vote as the chairperson.
Commissioner Scullin? Commissioner Scullin, would you like to explain why I might ask that request of you?
I'm not explaining nothing, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
I will.
No, I'm going to tell you right now.
I made a request.
You will be in big trouble.
I made a
I'm
request.
going to request that you remove
have-
yourself as chair.
I made a request. I have a second. Can we please put my vote, my mention to a vote, please?
Madam Chair.
Madam Solicitor, can you address this
You
immediately,
cannot
please?
vote to go into executive session. It's not on the agenda.
Can we adjourn for 5 minutes to discuss this in a private session? You and I, or her and I, somehow. Then, I'm going to speak, and you can turn the mic off and stop the meeting if you like, Madam Chair. That comment, that request, I've sat on a lot of boards and a lot of committees. I've never heard a chairperson ever advise a sitting elected official not to vote on an issue. Madam Solicitor,
Yes.
have you?
Yes, many times, actually.
For what reason?
For recusal issues,
Okay,
ethics issues.
okay. Is there a recusal issue?
I'm not aware, I haven't been given
Is there
the facts.
Is there a confirmed ethics issue that came down from the State Ethics Board?
I don't know. I don't know.
How can we go forward after that comment was made?
It is Commissioner Scullin's, decision to decide whether or not he would vote or not vote on a matter. Having said that, I have heard, I think on this board, in the past, people, kind of saying that someone shouldn't vote on something for one reason or another. I don't know all the
What?
facts.
When have you ever heard that? I've never heard anybody say who should
I
or should
can't,
not vote.
I've been, as you have, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yes.
And I've seen it, not often, but several times,
Sure.
where a member of a board says, and again, I don't have all the facts, I don't know what the issue is, but
Sure. I mean,
if
Tim
there's a
recu-
recusal issue,
Tim recused himself half an
Right.
hour ago. I've recused
Well,
because my
he
sister...
abstained.
He abstained. My sister works at CVS. I've recused from CVS
Right,
votes.
right, exactly.
I mean, if there's an ethics issue that has been decided at the ethics, not an allegation, if there's an ethics decision...
well, the reason why you would recuse is so that there isn't a complaint filed.
You're innocent until proven guilty, okay? When a
Okay.
commissioner instructs someone not to vote,
She did not instruct him not to vote.
I didn't instruct him not to vote.
you suggested he not vote.
I suggested he not vote.
No, it's not.
Now we're going to have a pedantic discussion about semantics.
No, we're not.
As the
I suggested he
chairwoman,
not vote.
I want to go on record as saying this, that is the most highly, I don't even know what the word is, unusual suggestion I've ever heard from any, even with the Trump people in Washington, This is still the most unusual comment
Okay, I get that.
I've
Thank you.
ever heard.
All right, thank you. I get that. I
I
get
don't
what you're
think
saying.
I don't think you do. So, I think that we...
Commissioner Santoro, I do get it. And if you were privy to the conversation, you would
It's not-
understand why I'm asking,
I-
why I'm suggesting he not vote. Period. I understand what you're saying, I hear what you're saying. Can we move on?
I don't think we can.
I'm calling for a vote. Let's get this resolution passed,
Wait, what are
please.
we voting on?
We're
I'm-
voting for the motion on the table
To approve this.
to approve this resolution.
Well, he has more amendments, as do other members possibly. This is not a done, this whole amendment, this whole resolution has more issues to be discussed.
So by Robert's rules, there's a motion on the table with a second. So
The
the
motion-
chair
the-
has to call for a vote before another motion, any other motions are taken.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner
a
Hogan.
vote has to be taken on the amendment, his amendment to this resolution.
So what I heard was that, I can't remember who, Commissioner Ashenbo made a motion to approve this resolution,
As is.
as is,
Correct.
with a second by
Commissioner Hogan.
Commissioner Hogan.
Correct. For discussion purposes.
Right, so you've discussed, but
Correct.
no other motions can be made yet until you vote. If you vote no, then you can move on to another motion.
I don't believe so. I believe that
made an amendment.
the motion was made to approve the resolution, which was seconded. Now we're in discussion mode
Discussion on
If-
this
if-
motion,
of the whole resolution, which
of
means
this motion.
this motion is to approve the whole resolution.
Exactly.
Correct.
We can't go back and then change that after, because it's not on the agenda. I'm not going to vote until we get into specifics of this resolution.
But there's a motion to
For
approve.
example, I think I think we need a 5-minute break just to take a deep breath and just relax,
Yeah.
personally.
Take a 5-minute break.
Thank you very much. You're the boss.
Madam Chair, I'll take back my second
Okay,
for
thank
further discussion under this issue.
So just to be clear, so there's no second. If-
second.
No, you don't want a second, Paul.
I don't? So, I mean, I think Mr. Hogan is taking back his motion. Oh, yeah. I believe Mr. Hogan is withdrawing his second on the full resolution, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you don't
Correct.
want to second anything right now?
I do not?
No.
Well, if you do, then that means you'll have to take a vote on the full resolution without amendments.
How do we get amendments in there?
If there's no second, then the motion fails and you move on to other things, including potentially amendments.
I'm sorry, but I respectfully disagree. We've had other resolutions that have been, I mean, this is how I look at it, and I'll draw it. You know, here's the resolution, and you have amendment, 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 amendment.
Before you make a motion to approve is on the
Exactly.
table.
So, no, the motion to approve, discussion, under discussion, you make
don't
amendment,
no,
you
you
make
don't.
amendments.
No, you don't. If you want to make amendments, you do that before a motion to approve.
How can we approve something, how can we amend? Okay, so what you're telling me is amending something that is not on the agenda can't be done.
This resolution is on the agenda.
Okay.
If you want to amend it, motions have to be made prior to a motion to amend.
Madam Chair,
Approve.
Commissioner Hogan.
Motion to approve, I'm sorry.
I believe this is an up and down vote on this resolution.
This is a what?
An up and down vote. You're either going to vote for this. If there's a motion and a second, then you have to vote on what's in front of you. If
And
you
you
don't
would-
have a second, then you can discuss any policy that you wish to discuss on this resolution if you want to
Correct.
make changes.
Correct.
In other words, there's no other language here. Only my opinion. So when there's a motion and then a second, you're voting on that resolution that's in front of you. You can't make any changes in that resolution.
Correct.
So no, it's either an up and down vote. So we either address this issue with a first and a second and vote on this resolution, or that's the reason I took back my second. If someone wants to make a motion, an amendment to this resolution, they have the opportunity to do that.
Unless someone makes a second.
A second, and then it's...
Of the original motion to approve.
We're going to have more than one amendment suggested,
That's not the point.
but can't,
There's a motion on the table to approve.
one,
Right now, there's no second.
okay.
If the chairwoman calls for a second and someone seconds it, then you're voting on the resolution as proposed. If no one seconds it, then you can move on to other things, as Mr. Hogan said, like amendments.
Let's do that, please, if we can.
Is there a second?
Okay,
Hearing none.
motion fails.
Motion fails.
Move on.
Commissioner Scullin. We understand you have amendments that you would like to add to this.
Yeah, so make a motion on the $200 prior year as the First Amendment.
So can I help him?
Motion, could you say that again, please?
Motion to include in Section 8, a 200 prior year balance before the start of tax sales.
I don't even know when. I'm trying to find a place for it.
So essentially what you're saying is you are deleting entire Section 8, because the first sentence is, in order to collect all fire district taxes within the current fiscal year.
Can't.
So what you're saying is, no fire taxes, no late fire taxes can be sent to fire sale until the fiscal year has ended. So anyone who has not paid their fire taxes will not have to pay their fire taxes until the following fiscal year, plus 90 days, because of course they have up to 90 days to pay their fire tax with penalty.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner.
Diane, quick question. My head's spinning right now, but if someone is in the rear first quarter payment, and the second payment comes up, they have to pay their entire fire tax bill on that second payment?
Correct.
Is that how we stand now?
That is what the bill says.
Okay.
That is what we can enforce. However, anybody that comes in and says, I got this notice, I really can't pay the whole thing, but I can pay to become current, we will absolutely agree to that, and we will not enforce. If they ask. Some people just come in and they say, oh no, I want to pay the whole thing, but we will never, and somebody says, I can only pay $50. We work with people
Take it,
all
yeah.
the time, all the time.
If I can just add to that,
Sure.
until it goes to, until you
Right.
hire an attorney and the attorney
Right.
starts charging. So
Right.
it's until, what, this year was December, mid-December?
Right. The notice that we sent out said they had to pay by October 1st, but we actually didn't send that list to the attorney until December 8th. So we, in essence, gave them 30 days on the notice and 60 more days beyond that. So it, you know, as I said, it generated 1,000 payments out of the 1,600.
And Tim, just so you know, I I went ahead and had Ms. Morris send me the tax attorney's contract. You would not believe how many letters she sends out to people to get them to know they're in the tax sale process. It's probably about maybe 7 or 8 letters that they get, and I think 5 of them go out certified.
Well,
And
that's not right, no.
3, 4,
No,
3.
no.
I mean, there's so many letters, and then she goes and she has to track down the actual owner to the town hall, and she has to do deeper deed searches. So the tax, yeah, the tax attorney, once it gets to her desk, she does so much detailed work, you know, to get that person to just come in. And if she come, they pay the $75, the first 100, 25 for us, and then 75, it all goes away. I mean, that tax attorney is doing so much work to get that person just to pay that amount. It's incredible. It's really, we're getting a good deal from our tax attorney.
I just think it's a heavy burden for the taxpayers to charge that kind of money. I mean, I understand, I mean, we all pay our taxes, we try to do it on time. I'll be totally honest with you, I saw the fire tax bill at my house and it was due last Monday. I put my wife in the car and said, now go up there and drop it off in the box. I swear to God, you probably found it in the box, I'll guarantee you. It got stuck somewhere and I forgot. And I don't pay the bill, she does, but it happens.
We have heard that more now since we went to quarterly payments. When people got their bill and they would pay it when they received it, that would be it until the next year. We've heard that a lot from people who say, I paid the quarter, I forget the rest of the quarters. So,
And
but they do respond to the notices when they get them too.
But in that case, I think you've said in the past several times that if they do make that first quarter payment, they don't even get a letter.
Right. Well,
Correct.
I mean, that's the way, I think that's the way it should be. It's, you know, you send a person misses one month's payment or one quarter payment, and all of a sudden they're getting lawyers' letters, and
But that is
they're getting a
what
$300 bill. But I
That
mean,
is
it's...
what- No, when I say that is what happened, if they paid even if they paid $50 on their first quarter of last year, they did not get a letter.
No, but I'm talking the fiscal year, not
Yeah.
the past. I mean, if you're in the arrears from a year ago, then you had serious problems. We have serious problems.
We have serious problems.
Exactly, we have
This
serious
board has
problems.
serious
That's, I don't have a problem with, you know, charging them whatever we need to charge. But if someone for the fiscal year forgets the one quarter,
That's
and then
not,
the...
yeah, she's not doing that.
Oh, well,
But she's doing that if you miss your first payment
Yeah.
and your
You
second
missed
payment.
everything.
If you made your first payment, then she's not sending the
Right,
letters out.
Exactly.
Correct. But yes, if you're correct. If you missed your first payment, you did receive that letter, you did, with the notice that you would be charged fees. October 1st came and went. Now, by the time we did send it to the attorney, 2 quarters were past due at that point.
No, I can understand.
So,
So we're still,
We don't, it's not...
We don't have language
We
for
don't
an
really have
amendment yet.
language for it, because it's essentially wiping out your entire first paragraph.
Is there a second on the area behind it, just to get to that point?
no, we have to have the amendment first before we can second.
I'm sorry.
There's a motion to amend, and then we need to hear what the amendment is, because we can't vote on something that we don't know.
I mean, honestly, the concept of what Commissioner Scullin is stating pretty much wipes out everything that's in this. I mean, the notice talks about the first quarter taxes being past due. It talks about proceeding with additional tax sales for preceding years' taxes as necessary. It's really like a rewrite of this resolution. So I think in discussion, maybe you all could talk about whether you're amenable to holding off for an entire tax year and a $200 minimum before you ever go to tax, before you even start the process. I would, if I were you, I'd have that discussion so that you know where this is going. And remember, I said this a couple months ago, If you do that, you are going to have to do a tax anticipation note, and it's going to cost at least 10 to 15,000
Just to do it.
just to do it. It's also probably going to cost the taxpayers, the non-delinquent taxpayers, percentage points on the rate, because you're going to have to develop some kind of a fund balance, which you don't have. You just got an audit saying you have a deficit. The bills will not get paid at the end of the fiscal year if something like that passes.
And to back up what the solicitor just said about those TANs, those tax anticipation notes, we talked about perception at the meeting we had earlier on, and the perception is going to be reality when the Cumberland Fire District has to go out and take these loans, tax anticipation loans. I'm not sure anybody's going to want to take over a fire district that is having to get loans just to sustain itself because we couldn't manage and collect and run and budget and finance properly at this point. These tax anticipation notes have serious implications to them, and they're at serious interest rates. I agree with the solicitor, not very often, but in this case, I'm with her 100%. The last thing we want to do is go out and have to get a loan for $400,000 at a high interest rate, and then carry on the burden knowing that we're not running our numbers properly. And then the firefighter morale, you know, these guys, I sat there with these guys for an hour the other day. You know, they're watching the videos. You look at the numbers on YouTube, and they're seeing every single month doom and gloom. You know, am I going to get paid? Am I going to be laid off? Am I going to lose my benefits? You know, all these things are important. So, you know, it sounds like easy to get a loan, get a TAN, tax anticipation note. It's a very bad thing. And Ms. Morris is entirely correct.
I agree with you, Commissioner Santoro. It's a bad way to operate when we have a process at our disposal that's very clear on this document.
And one more thing I forgot to add on that comment. In my research on the TANs, this is what led the Lonsdale Fire Department to go bankrupt and to close. That I researched. This is what they started on, getting these tax anticipation notes. And when the taxes didn't come in to pay off those notes, this is when they went bankrupt. So it's a slippery slope that gets very slippery very quickly.
I agree.
Thank you. No, you made a motion that we're not sure how to word.
Well, I had suggested that you have a discussion as to whether or not you're amenable to the concept.
I am not amenable to the concept.
I am not either.
Okay, so I think that kind of helps you to move forward. If no one's amenable to that concept, are there other amendments that you'd like to discuss, Commissioner Scullin?
All right, so that's official. We got 4-1, right? Okay. Okay, well, one more I do have, which should be amenable to everybody, it's not even controversial. Imagine that. Line 27, the Cumberland Fire Committee may enter into contracts with tax sale attorneys for a maximum term of 3 years. I would change that the Cumberland Fire Committee may enter into contracts with tax sale attorneys for the term of their office.
Of their office.
Their elected term.
So that's every 2 years.
I'd rather have it be the opposite.
Oh, Paul.
Yeah, thanks. I'd actually rather have it be the opposite for the same reason we made the chief and the finance director the opposite. I don't want to have, why do you want it to be the term of our office?
Because the current board should be hiring the people that work for them.
No, I agree. But
Yeah.
that person shouldn't have to be relying upon, it just sends a message that the person that we're hiring is being hired by the current board, the board, as opposed to the chief's contract ends, gets renewed opposite of our term for the purpose of keeping it out of favoritism. So while I agree with the concept, if you just change it to say, you know, for the 2-year term, opposite of the firefighter term, of the fire board term.
No, I disagree. You can't compare the chief's position to a tax sale attorney. A tax sale attorney is somebody that just is doing professional services for the board. They're not
Well, then-
employees of the district.
Well, then the perception is going to be that we're going to pick somebody that's our favorite.
Well, that's somebody's perception, but it's,
Well, it can be reality as well. It can be, you know, I got a friend of mine who just finished law school, has been, wants to do, you know, it just isn't me. I think the 3-year term, I think is long, maybe 2 years, I agree. Making an opposite makes it a little more transparent, that it's not somebody that the board personally has an affinity to, a liking to.
well, the board can change every 2 years. It's not like they're there forever.
What I'm saying is, you're saying is that once we get a tax sale, a tax attorney, every 2 years, a new board gets elected, and if there's a majority of group, 4 people, that decide they have an attorney that they all personally like, they're going to suggest, oh, I want to hire Attorney Joe. They're going to change it to be their, you know, their favorite attorney.
Well, we do the same thing with our general counsel. General counsel's appointed by the new committee every 2 years. So,
We took a vote, and it was a 7-0 vote. I'm the one who made the motion to have her, the first motion to have her re-voted in. And it wasn't
See,
done.
you're getting along.
because of-
That's good.
And Ms. Morris and I will agree that there's not an affinity we have between liking each other on an out-of-facility basis, put it that way. But legally, I have full respect for her.
well, then the tax sale attorney should be the same thing, 2 years with the new board. What's the difference?
When's her contract up?
Never,
It's an
doesn't it?
open-ended contract.
It's an open-ended contract. So if, in order to get this to every 2 years, it'd have to be, she'd have to finish out this year, and then it'd have to start next year.
Well, and also, you could actually enter into that agreement with her if you chose, and stop it, you know, just, because Diane usually does a second tax sale, which would be around this time next year. So you could actually go out to bid and, for a new tax sale attorney, that you'd be hiring essentially next January. So, I mean,
January or?
this to me is totally up to you guys. I mean, I get what Commissioner Scullin's saying. I just put 3 years in because I did it for him, because I knew he wanted to limit the contract. So it's neither here nor there. He makes, you know, everyone you hire, in my opinion, it is somewhat of a political appointment, and that is the way it is when you have an elected board. There's nothing wrong with that.
Madam Chair, question?
Commissioner Jones?
Or for solicitor, probably. This, it appears that on line 27, just gives the ability for a maximum of 3 years, may enter for a maximum of 3 years. So wouldn't this be referred to Personnel or Finance Committee, Subcommittee, to make a decision of the period that tax attorney serves?
So, I mean, it could go to a committee, but you're right, the committee could decide to do a 1-year contract. The committee could decide to do a one-off tax sale, but you cannot, under this bylaw, do more than a 3-year contract. You can do less than a 3-year contract. So it gives you the option. It gives the next boards the option.
So, to Mr. Scullin, is that acceptable, that the leverage is there, that any new board could make that decision at that time? It is open-ended. It says may up to 3 years.
No, if this board hires her for 3 years, then the next board doesn't have any say in it.
But you could limit it to 2 years. This doesn't require a 3-year contract.
No, but I'm just saying this board could hire an attorney for 3
Absolutely,
years.
you could, yep.
And the next board would just have to be stuck with that tax sale attorney, even if they don't like her services.
Well, you know, that's the other thing. Attorneys can always be fired. So, that's just another, not everyone can be fired from a contract, but attorneys can be, so. If you don't like what a particular tax sale attorney is doing, you can generally get out of it. It would just be more for you to say, hey, you're with us for the next 3 years, because you want consistency. But again, your point is, in my opinion, is well taken. You want to do 2 years, or the term of office, do the term of office. It's not really a big deal either way.
So where are we? We have a motion?
We have a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Second the motion to limit the tax sale attorney's contract to 2 years.
Well, no, to the term of their office.
To the term of their office, you're right, sorry.
To the term. All right.
Is there a, who seconded? Commissioner Hogan?
A discussion on question for finance. Does that create, could that create a continuity problem, switching attorneys midstream on a tax sale?
Not necessarily. The tax sale process is pretty much the same. I don't think it matters which attorney you use. I think they all do the same thing.
Thank you.
The process is, it's a legal process, so they all have to follow the legal process. So, no, not necessarily.
But if one attorney's like in the middle of a tax sale, they would just transfer the files?
No, they would have to finish. They would have to finish that process.
Okay.
And then if you wanted to hire a new person.
Thank you.
So the next tax sale is going to occur when?
May, we were hoping.
No, isn't there
sorry.
one like this week, or?
There is, oh, I'm sorry. There is Friday.
So, Commissioner Scullin, that term of office is actually going to end like in January, because the person has to complete the tax sale.
Oh, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
She's already under contract
Yeah.
to do that tax sale,
Right.
so that...
And then the other thing is, if you like the tax sale attorney, this doesn't limit you of hiring that person over and over and over, but it just gives a new board the opportunity to look for better rates or whatever.
Politics.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of the amendment as written,
Aye.
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Opposed?
Nay.
Passes 5-1. All right, back to the initial resolution with the amendment as listed. Is there a motion on the table?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Madam Chair, I have an amendment to suggest.
I'm sorry?
An amendment to suggest.
I'm sorry?
An amendment to suggest?
You have another amendment you want to suggest?
Yes, please.
We have a motion on the floor.
There's no second, so as Ms. Morris said, I can make an amendment. So
Is there a second? There's no second. What's your amendment?
First page, line 33, by regular mail. We had discussed in the past using certified mail for the first, the initial mailing out of the office. I know it's going to cost a little more money the first time, but I'm in favor of that being certified mail. I make a motion we change 33, where it says director shall mail, comma, by certified mail, comma, a notice to any taxpayer who has not paid the, et cetera.
So I just want to, on this last tax sale where 600 notices were sent out,
1,600.
Oh, sorry.
We're discussing the point where the first set of notices go out. That would be
that would cost
1,600.
$11,000. That would cost $11,000 to send out certified.
Plus personnel. We would probably have to hire somebody clerical to do that, to send out that much certified mail.
You have to hire someone to send certified mail?
Yes.
Why?
That's a time-consuming process.
And that doesn't mean people are actually going to claim the certified mail. A lot of people don't claim it. I actually had space with Michelle, and she got back tons and tons of unclaimed certifieds.
That's the point.
Why would that be? Then they didn't get notified. If you get a piece of regular mail in the mail,
Exactly.
they open it. If you get a certified, they don't even go get it, so they don't even see it.
Exactly. So that means it's not going to the right address.
No,
Well,
they
that means
don't
they didn't
claim
pick it
it.
up.
They don't pick it up. They don't accept it.
Well, for whatever reason, then we have that piece of the document in front of us.
That they didn't get it, but with regular mail, they definitely got it.
Okay. Then we have that document to prove that we've made the effort initially.
Okay.
And then the tax sale attorneys does certified mail. I believe, does she use with return receipt?
Yes.
She does.
Well, for the 90-day, no, for the 40-day notice,
For today.
not for the 90-day.
So that way, at least we have a trail of evidence we can show someone that's going to come in and complain that, I never got notified, and all of a sudden you're going to sell my house. You would send a certified letter you chose not to go pick up, or it went to the wrong address 5 times, 4 times, whatever it is.
So in addition to the $11,000 that it's going to cost, there is that point where we would have to hire clerical staff, because what's going to happen is, of those 1,600 certified pieces of mail that comes back, someone is going to have to figure out who did not accept their mail and who did, and then create lists of that. We still have the information that we still need to get. Someone has to log that in. Someone has to deal with the mail that comes in on the certified mail.
It's the same as the regular mail. If someone doesn't get the regular mail, what happens to that?
No, I'm talking about, you get a piece of certified mail, it comes back to us. Who's going to tally up who got the mail and who didn't? Who got their notice and who didn't?
That's a lot of clerical
That's 1,600
work.
pieces of mail.
And we are now asking...
Hopefully it will go down next year.
And I think it was Solicitor Morris that made the point, we are now asking the taxpayers that pay their bills to fund $11,000 for certified mail.
Right.
I understand.
Where does this money come from?
Right.
The $11,000. Where can we take it out of? If you're proposing a financial amendment, we have to figure out where we're going to pay.
I see
pay
both
for it.
sides. It's just my personal opinion, and,
Okay.
we can move forward. If no one seconds it,
Just on that discussion, Doctor, I had brought that up originally because one of my people in my district, for Abbott Run, swore up and down that they did not get it, and it was just my thought that it would be a proof that it was sent. But listening on to this, whether you could put that certified mail as a charge back to the account, I don't know. It's probably a big hassle. It's just a big administrative hassle to
Just
make.
more clerical work.
Right. And
It's just clerical.
thinking this through, that even if you were getting a notice on eviction, they don't do that by certified, it's just regular mail, I think. On an eviction notice, like on a, not
but-
talking about fire related,
That's a
the
constable.
right after a certain step.
But that's
the first-
when, oh, yeah, no,
the fir-
regular mail, you're right,
regular
you're
mail.
right, yeah.
Okay.
So
Right.
I hear your side too, Paul, but
Okay.
I think I was going to back down on that.
Okay. Understood. I'll withdraw the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Motion to approve the resolution with the amended line item. Is there a,
I thought we already did that.
No, this is to
we have
approve the
to,
entire
this is to approve the entire
I already
resolution?
made the motion to approve the entire resolution.
Okay,
But it wasn't seconded, so make it
right,
again.
so make it again.
So moved.
I make a motion to
Motion
approve
to
the
approve
resolution.
by Commissioner Ashenball. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Santoro. All in favor of approving this resolution, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Passes 5-1. Any public input? No public input? You have to, so when we're doing, when we're doing public input, come to the podium, state your name and your address, and then make your statement.
Okay, my name is Joe Altanji, 22 Blackstone Street, Cumberland. Basically, I'm here to dispute the $100 fee. The notice that I received states that if the 2017 taxes are paid by December 29th, the tax sale and associated cost would be removed. So just trying to figure out...
Can you read that exactly? Because I don't think it says "and associated cost."
Okay. Would you like to see it? I just read it, exactly what it states. So the $100 fee is an associated cost, so I just trying to figure out how that makes sense.
So just for the commissioners, this reads, please be advised that the Cumberland Fire District has forwarded your account to an attorney to begin tax sale proceedings. As stated in your previous notice, tax sale properties will be advertised in the local newspaper, and a minimum $300 in legal fees and expenses has been added to your account. In accordance with the general laws of Rhode Island, your mortgage company and/or bank will be notified. If you wish to avoid a tax sale and associated costs, please remit full payment by the due date indicated above. So what the second line says it's already been added to your account. You received notice when, Diane? September 1st?
The first notice went out in late August with a due date of October 1st.
That was the previous
And
notice.
it said that there would be legal fees added to your account.
Right, so this letter, thank you. This letter clearly states that associated costs, so tax sale and associated costs.
There's more costs. If it goes to-
Associated cost is the $100 fee that you guys were trying to charge. That's an associated fee, is it not?
Well, but the line before that says that the $300 has already been added to your account. So
No, it
there's
says
other-
right here, $300, it says tax sale fees. So, to avoid the tax sale and associated cost,
There's other costs associated.
but it doesn't indicate that on this letter.
Well-
It says nothing about $100, it's just a number that you guys pulled out of the
No,
sky.
actually, we reduced from 300 to 100.
All right, but it says that the tax sale and associated cost would be waived if this is paid by December 29th.
That's associated costs specifically with regard to the tax sale. There's additional costs over the 300 that get applied to your account if it goes to tax sale.
Okay, so how come it doesn't indicate that on this letter?
I think it does.
Okay, would you like to see it again?
No?
Because I'm telling you it doesn't. You just read it literally verbatim.
Right, and it said $300 has been added to your account, which was then subsequently reduced to 100.
No, it said it would be removed if I paid this by the 29th.
It doesn't say it would be removed.
No, not that part. That cost has already been implemented. The associated fees with the tax sale.
There's
That's a
advertising,
separate.
yeah.
There's a separate, the initial fee is separate from the tax sale fees.
Well, this right here is a notice for tax sale, right?
Yep.
So if you wish to avoid the tax sale and associated cost would be the $300,
No, Mr. Almonte, if I could. So when I went through and read the tax attorney's contract, the associated costs are things, so you get notified at a certain number of days ahead. You pay your $100, Diane takes it off the tax sale list. If it goes beyond, and 90 days before, they have to do a title search. That costs the attorney so much money. They have to do all kinds of deed searches. That costs the attorney so much money, $3,900 for certain fees. There's another like $12,000 in fees that as you get closer from 90 days to 40 days, she sends you letters and letters. Adds up, all these fees are on top of the $300 or the $100 that you got between the first bill you got. Those additional fees are incredibly high. It's like almost, what, $15,000?
Right, but here's the thing, then if those fees, how come it's not added to here?
Because you don't...
Because this is after those letters have been already distributed and those fees have been piling up. So why does it not indicate?
Because if you pay that $100 on top of your taxes,
Yeah.
there's no need to incur those fees. The attorney, we're lucky that we have an attorney who does not bundle all of her fees all at once like other towns do. I've seen other towns where they just bundle all this fee, the attorney fee, okay? Our attorney does a staged, a stepwise fashion. The first is $100, okay? She gets it, she reviews the account, says they owe me money, okay? The second is she does all kinds of title searches, other investigations behind the scenes. That costs her time and money. Those are more fees. And there's like 5 different sections of things that she does to actually verify, are we selling the person's house that actually, lives in that house, and verifies that. So the tax attorney is doing probably $12,000, $15,000 of investigation before a tax sale actually happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I said, this is a very misleading letter.
It's not really misleading. What you're saying is, if you wanted to add those additional fees onto it, it would be a $15,000, a penalty up front for a $300 tax bill.
It's basically, so look, it's in bold print. It's basically saying, if you pay by the 29th, you pay the $409.37. That's what it says.
Yeah.
I mean, I've showed it to, multiple people. I mean, it's misleading. It says nothing about the $100 fee. So I honestly don't think I should, especially sitting here for 3 hours listening to this circus-like, whatever you call it, meeting, whatever. This is ridiculous. So would you be willing to waive the $100 fee?
That's not on the agenda.
That's not on the agenda.
So okay, so how do I get that on the agenda?
Well, they just passed a bylaw that says that they can't waive any fees unless there's a mistake on the district's part, and there isn't one, so.
It is, though. It's like misleading letter. It says nothing about the other fees that I would... So you're going to charge me $100 or whatever, and it's not going to indicate it on an itemized...
So it says a minimum of 300,
I get that.
and what they charged is 100.
Right, because I paid it by this date, and that's why it was waived.
It was not waived.
It should have been, according to this letter.
Well, that's your opinion.
No, it's what the letter says.
Diane?
My opinion or not, it's what the letter
Do you have any
says.
comment, Diane?
Doesn't say that.
Well, you received a letter prior to this one.
So this is, like, I
The
don't even
letter
live, I
that
don't
we
live at the
rec-
property.
the
I
letter-
don't remember getting any of these letters.
Well, I can't attest to whether or not you received your mail. But you
Right.
did receive another letter that said that if you do not pay your bill by October 1st, a minimum of $300 in fees will be added to your account, and you will be sent to an attorney for tax sale. So October 1st came and went. We did not send that list to the attorney until December 8th. So we gave everybody an additional 68 days beyond the October 1st. This letter is telling you that that your account has now been placed with an attorney for the tax sale process, and you were charged some fees at that time. Because it has already gone to the attorney, she's charged us the fees. The tax sale itself is a very lengthy process. It hasn't taken place yet. So that's that last line. to avoid the actual tax sale and associated costs, because there are hundreds of dollars in fees that get added if your property does in fact go to that tax sale, which is 90 days or more in the future. So that's the process. It seems like you missed the letter that came in between, and we can't control the mail, so I apologize for that.
No, you don't have to apologize for that. I mean, you can't control the mail, like you said. I just don't say, like, I think it should have been, like I said, indicated in this letter. You know, it's just like you pull that number 100 out of the sky and said, okay, well, now you have to pay 100. So, I don't agree with this. What's that?
It's better than 300.
I'd be happy with just paying what I owed. I mean, because here's the thing, I paid penalty, in whatever, $21 in penalty, so that's my penalty, not the 21 plus 100. So it is, yeah, I guess it is better than 300, which is a really dumb thing to say, but okay. Good point.
But it wasn't pulled out of the sky. That $100 was paid to the tax sale attorney. So the non-delinquent taxpayers are not going to pay that $100. That's how it works. The delinquent taxpayer pays the 100 that we have to pay to the attorney.
So how do I get this waived or whatever? What's the next step?
There's no
next
waiver.
step?
No.
There's no waiver.
This is,
And we don't get that
3 hours of
money.
my life I'll never get back, and it didn't save me any money. Is that what you're saying? Excellent, awesome.
So I'm sure you didn't mean, when you said this meeting was a circus.
This
No,
meeting.
no,
No, I'm
finish.
sorry. It was an embarrassment to even be part of. Okay.
Can I just finish, please?
Go ahead.
I'm sure you didn't mean to say this entire meeting was a circus, because we had a number of firefighters and police officers and EMTs here receiving awards. I'm sure that.
So you're trying to use that to make up for everything else that happened afterwards?
I'm not.
I don't disrespect fire or police. Okay.
But you said the whole meeting was a circus.
Let's. So you want to get all technical? Okay. So let me rephrase that.
Okay, we're
After the award ceremony, it turned into a circus. Is
Fine,
that better for you?
that's much
Okay,
better.
Excellent. Thank you.
It's exactly what I was looking for. Motion to adjourn. I heard, okay, this is your third time presenting. I need to put you on a timer. I will give you 5 minutes.
Yes.
The rules as you go along in these meetings, I notice. And when someone says something you don't like, you act like a 3-year-old pup. I mean, this is ridiculous. He's right, this is a circus. Taking nothing away from the fire or the police, it is a circus. And you should be ashamed of yourself for being the truth. The other guys are sitting there trying to be polite, and you're just very ignorant human being.
Relax,
Okay,
relax.
hi.
5 minutes.
Relax.
I guess I'm going to have to talk quickly. I have a lot to say. I think I should start with the penalty that I just found out is now 100. So I have one here that says 300, and I paid before the last guy. So how come he's got 100 and I still have $300 and a penalty looming on my account?
Did you pay
It's
after?
been adjusted, they've all been adjusted.
I
That
didn't get
was-
anything in the mail on that.
We haven't, we are so far behind in those mailings. We had 600 accounts we had to manually adjust. We have not gotten there yet, but we will. We will be sending additional bills with the
All right.
$100 balance.
So for
You mean refunds?
Well, we have refunds because we have several hundred people who paid the $300. So they are issued, they will be receiving refunds or credits, yes.
So she'll get,
She didn't pay any fees at all. So her fees were reduced to $100, so she will be getting an additional bill for that.
okay. So what she's saying is the people that paid, okay.
Yep, got it. So, I do not agree with the last amendment that you made to the bylaws. As far as collecting future taxes for a future year to balance a current budget just seems wrong. How you want people to pay their taxes in advance, or if they're late by a quarter, whatever, and then you're calling in the whole bill so you can balance the current year budget. Your $409,000 in a deficit. Now, there's something really, really wrong, because when we were in the boroughs, we had surpluses in boroughs. Now that we've merged, we have a $409,000 deficit. Something is going wrong here. There's something wrong with the budget or what's being balanced. And now you are calling, if you miss a quarter, you're going to call in on everybody because you need to know that you're going to have that money to balance your current year's budget by taking money from the future year. That doesn't make sense to me, to rob Peter to pay Paul. And it seems that you guys have got to get this under control. You've been elected. I know it's an election year this year, and I will not be voting for the person in my district again because I'm very disappointed in this outcome. And I think that a lot of people that are watching this are probably thinking the same thing, that we want you guys to do a good job. We want you to balance this budget. We want to know why we could always operate with a surplus, and now we are in a really bad deficit. What is going on? I don't understand it, and I think it needs to be addressed, and stop trying to piggyback off the taxpayers' backs. There's something wrong. And as far as one other thing, the penalties. Now, I pay penalties too on mine. Granted, it wasn't the 29 that the last guy paid, but I paid $18.43 in penalties. So if there was 1,600 letters that went out, and those 1,600 people, out of them, 600 people paid penalties.
1,000.
Okay, 1,000 people paid penalties. That's an extra surplus you guys didn't even know you had. That's extra money. That money did not go to a tax attorney. That money didn't go anywhere except into the budget. That's a lot of money when you look at those 1,000 people that came out and paid who had penalties.
That's offset by the attorney fee.
No, not that money. These are penalties on the taxes, not
Yes,
on...
I understand. The $16 or $18 or $24, the $75 fee to the attorney offsets that penalty fee. Diane, right?
No.
In essence,
It's about
overall,
$1,800.
It's not a lot. Our total interest collected by the end of the year, because it's interest on the unpaid balance, not on the whole entire bill.
Right, exactly.
So it's just interest from July 22nd on, if you haven't paid anything.
Right.
Our interest rate is low. It's not that much money. We probably collect maybe,
2,000,
maybe,
$1,800.
right, on those bills. I would have to look it up. I don't know. but
1,000
it's not
people
that-
at 29 would be what,
$2,900.
and there's extra money in there that probably could have covered your postage.
yeah, thanks.
Not quite.
I
You have-
liked your
you
idea.
have 10
I
seconds
did.
left.
Oh, I have 10 seconds left. Well, they were talking too, so that...
I'll give you an
stop.
extra minute.
The clock should have
There you
been
go. I'll
stopped.
give you an extra minute.
I think this tax sale is going to go out too early. We're going from, now you're talking of moving it up, where right now, the letters went out in December, now you're talking after missing a quarter, we're getting it off to the attorney, we're going to have it out by October, now we're going to start the process of a tax sale in October instead of December, where last year it was February. We're bouncing these dates around a lot.
That's not what the resolution
The
is.
resolution is moving it up now. After 1 quarter, we can start the process. That's July. The quarter is in July. So you essentially just voted in to start the process even earlier.
No, it's later.
What is the first line read of your resolution?
It's, if you miss your first payment,
Okay, you can stop.
and then if you don't make your second payment, then they start it.
So again, that's
After
October. Your second
After
payment is in October.
the process starts in October.
Okay, right now, the process is starting in December, so you just moved it up by another 2 months on
that's
No,
top
it's
of
not.
it.
It's starting in
true.
October.
In theory, the fees would get applied in January. We did this to make sure it was after the holidays. So the process, the fees will attach sometime in January. That's what's going to happen.
So the people aren't going to be getting these letters?
Oh, they'll
in
get letters.
December saying you've got a $300 extra fee tacked on? Is this something, are they now going to get the letter in December that says you've got a $100 fee tacked on since we've changed the fee scale? It's kind of confusing.
I think the bylaw that they just adopted is quite clear.
No, it's not. So you moved it to October, you're going to start the process. So does the letter
If you
come
miss
out-
your October payment, the process starts in progress.
Okay, so then this letter that I got
So
in
you're 2
December-
payments behind already.
Right,
Right?
and that's what this one, no, I'm paid in full.
You were 2 payments
I
behind.
was 2 payments behind, and I got the letter in December with a $300.
Right.
So if I'm 2 payments behind in October, will I get the letter, or now you're saying it won't come till January?
Okay. I'm just going to say, you can look at the bylaw that
I
they just
looked at
passed.
it.
I'm not going to sit here and debate this with you.
But
Your time's up.
and yours is too, you won't be getting my vote.
I'll have to live with that.
She doesn't
have to
live in
live
the
with
district.
I know, you don't live in my district.
Yeah, right.
No.
You are my district.
Really?
Yeah, surprise. And I was there on election day, and I told everybody you seemed really nice and they should vote for you. You lost more than my vote.
Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Archibald, second by Commissioner Hogan. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?